My name is Javier Goyeneche and I'm the founder of Ecoalf. Before talking about Ecoalf, I always like to give some facts about the worldwide problem regarding waste. As you know, there's over 500,000 million plastic bags which are used every year. Unfortunately, the span life of those bags is less than 30 minutes from the store to your house. Over 650,000 nets in the bottom of the oceans. People don't know, but this is a huge problem because a big percentage of those nets are made of nylon 6, which is the best quality polyamide you can get in the world. And those nets can be there for 300, 400, 600 years, creating a lot of marine disasters. The more you start analyzing the ocean, you get to the conclusion that the big percentage of the waste is not on the surface, it's in the bottom of the ocean. They claim to be 75-80% of the waste is in the bottom of the ocean. Just for you to get an idea, a crystal bottle can take over 700 years to disappear, a plastic bottle can take over 400, an aluminum can take over 200. This is something which sometimes people are not aware, but I remember a trip going to Bangalore a few years ago in India to see some natural dye factories. And from Bangalore to those factories, left and right for 4 hours, it was waste and waste. And the problem with that is that probably a granddaughter will see that waste. That's not going to disappear. What's the biggest problem about a lot of this waste is that unfortunately a lot of that waste is single-use containers, single-use plastic cups, single-use plastic bottles. I always say I have nothing against plastic. I think it's great if you're going to do a window which has to last over 300 years. It's fantastic to do a window with PVC. The problem is that, for example, you go to a supermarket in the US and you have all the natural cover of the fruit taken away and in containers. That's ridiculous because we don't need those plastic containers, and that's millions and millions every year, which at the end finish up, unfortunately, where they don't have to finish. A lot of you have seen it, no? We have the famous wires in the ocean. There was this first one in the Pacific, which was, they claimed to be, it was twice the size of Spain. Then there was 3, then it was 5, then it was 7. I had the chance to see one in the Gulf of Thailand 2 years ago. And it was very impressive because, well, that waste in that occasion, it wasn't decomposed. So it looked like a huge blanket. It was like 5 miles by 4, which you had the sensation you could walk on top. Unfortunately, that's not the reality. Most of that plastic has been converted into microplastic because of the sea, the salt, the sun. And right now, what's going on with that microplastic? The fish are eating that microplastic. The last study I had access to, which was from 2018, it showed that 1/3 of the fish really to be eaten in the UK had plastic inside. Ellen MacArthur Foundation always says that by 2050 there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean. I believe that's not true. I believe there's already much more plastic than fish in the ocean. The problem is what you consider plastic. If you consider plastic a big plastic bottle, then perhaps not. If you consider plastic small, tiny pieces, I'm sure there's much more microplastic in the ocean than fish. And the problem is that there's not enough money in the world. There's not enough technology to take that plastic out of the ocean. We have a huge problem. And the problem is that that waste keeps on coming into the ocean. There's only 10 rivers in Southeast Asia, between India, Philippines, China, which are throwing into the ocean what they say a truck of 16 tons every minute. What's the problem? The problem is that those rivers, they go along huge surfaces. I mean, they go along many, many villages in those countries. We've given all the plastic, all the containers, all the aluminium to those villages, but we haven't given them the lorry to pick it up. So who's the lorry? The lorry is the river. They throw everything to the river. So those rivers are throwing waste every second to the ocean without control. But that's not only Southeast Asia. I mean, we have the same problem in the Mediterranean. You just have to see the images in Sidon, 48 kilometers from Beirut, a place where they've been bombing for the last 30 years and been putting all the waste near the ocean. Every time the wind blows, boom, all that waste into the Mediterranean. Or you can see it in Hawaii. I mean, there's images now of the beaches full of waste, which they're claiming before it used to happen like twice per year. Now it's happening twice per month. Or you have the huge used tire cemetery in the Atlantic, which is 7 kilometers long, where somebody decided it was a great place to throw all the used tires, and they'd probably be there for the rest of your life. We have a huge waste problem. I think we are not aware. We're 150,000 more people in the ocean, in the world, every day. We're going to be 2 more billion people by 2050, and there's not enough space. There's not enough landfills, and we continue consuming and throwing and creating this amount of waste. This is impossible. It's going to be a planet where it's going to be absolutely impossible to live. No? In our case, well, we work in the fashion industry, which is a beautiful industry, but at the same time, the second most polluted industry in the world. I mean, there's billions of garments going to landfill every year. And once you see those landfills, you realize, no? I mean, the planet is shaking. We need to act, and we need to act quick, no? And why is it going on? Because I believe the fashion business model doesn't work. It's a business model which is created on buying, throwing, a new trend every Thursday, a discount, promotion, Black Friday. That's creating a huge problem. And therefore, we cannot keep on thinking as fashion as it's just about looking good. It's not enough anymore. I think it also has to do about doing what is right and feeling good about it. No? I know this might sound a bit hard, but today I believe that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. I think we need to act. We need to act quick. No? And we've seen it during the pandemic. And during the pandemic, it's been amazing to see how when we leave the planet calm for a few weeks, we've seen dolphins in the ports, we've seen animals going to the center of the villages, we've seen blue skies in the cities. No? So I need all of us, not only the fashion industry, but I work in the fashion industry, we have to redefine the business model and create a new business model which lives in balance, no? With the planet's health and our future and current needs. No? When I started the company in 2009, I wanted to create a truly sustainable fashion company. I believe the most sustainable thing to do was not to keep on using natural resources. So recycling could be a solution. You're able to make like a new generation of recycled products with the same quality and design as the best non-recycled. Therefore, our mission, create the first generation of recycled products with the same quality. Our vision, stop using natural resources. When I went to the market in 2009, there were no cool recycled fabrics. There were only fabrics recycled in a small percentage, and the textures were not very good. So it took us 3 years of R&D to finally launch the brand in 2013. And because it took us all those years to start developing the quality fabrics we wanted. Since then, we have recycled and created more than 450 different fabrics recycled from plastic bottles, discarded fishing nets, coffee grounds, post-industrial cotton, wool, used tires. No? I think it's been a huge R&D program since then. I must say that probably our most ambitious program, and probably the one we're most known for, is Upcycling the Oceans. This was a program started in 2014 by the Ecoalf Foundation. One day I was talking with a fisherman in a port, and he said, Javier, you should come out and fish with me and see how much waste gets caught in the nets every time we pull up those nets. Mixed with the fish, unfortunately, there's a lot of waste. So I went out fishing with him, and it's true, it's shocking how much amount of waste we're getting out. So I decided to start this project in Spain, which is called Upcycling the Oceans. We started by convincing 3 fishermen from a little port in Villajoyosa, a little port in the east coast of Spain, in Alicante, to let me put a little container in their boats, and the waste that was collected, instead of throwing it back to the ocean, put in the container and take it to the port. What started with 3 fishermen, now it's over 3,000 fishermen. I spent every Thursday for a whole year waiting for those fishermen in the ports, in different ports, inviting them to a beer, convincing them about the project, and it was 300, 200, 1,000. It's an amazing project. More than 600 tons of waste taken from the bottom of the ocean in these years. Then we were contacted by the government of Thailand to help them replicate this in Thailand, and now we're replicating in all the Mediterranean. Already signed the first 6 ports in Greece, first in Italy, about to sign the first ones in France. This is a huge program. And I think I always say the same, that I don't want Ecoalf to be a storytelling company. I want it to be a story-doing company. I don't want to tell you about the problems in the ocean. I want to be part of the solution. And I think it's very important. I think also it's the time for all of us to work together in collaboration to move faster. I think the times when you could act as if nothing's happening are over. I think the planet's shaking. We need to acknowledge that. We need to move fast. We need to move together. And I think nothing could be worse than a return to what we thought was normal a few months ago. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be with all of you.